something else that were all kind
Legend
of
of
the
the
same.
River running through.
Yeah, right. They were
Well,
all
maybe those are going to be a matchup at some point.
3 hours long and awful.
Yes, but the killer.
But
Oh,
the
right.
killer,
Back. Wait.
this killer stars Natalie Emmanuel and Omar Sy and Sam Worthington. So Natalie, you might have seen her in Game of Thrones, Maze Runner, The Scorch Trials, Furious 7, Furious 9, The Fast Saga. So you've probably seen her, Zach, in your many Fast and Furious adventures.
Indeed. I believe she's Ramsey in the Fast and Furious movies, the female hacker. They got a male hacker, so they had to get a female hacker.
I support that.
Mhm.
I'm gonna feel
Support
shitty.
that. Get a little Bechtel test running in there. Omar Sy was in Jurassic World, Transformers, The Last Night, X-Men, Days of Future Past. Interesting. I have not seen, I think, any of those.
Yes, I was
And
correct.
Sam Worthington, most famous for Avatar and Avatar Way of Water. He was in the Clash of the Titans remake, and he was in Terminator Salvation. So he's kind of like in like the second coming of films.
Well, because he spent so
People.
much time doing Avatar, like
Yeah.
kind of got big and then we just moved to New Zealand for like 10 years, right?
I guess
Right.
maybe to do this, and then just sit there and act so smug with his fake Irish accent the whole time.
Oh, that's
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Yes. It wasn't a great Irish accent.
It's not. I think one of my
No.
biggest note about Sam was so smug. Why? Why so smug?
Is he American or is he British?
He's Australian, I think.
Australian, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, why not
Definitely.
use that
Yeah.
accent?
Just use
That
the
accent.
Australian accent.
This was released 2024. The runtime for this was 2 hours and 6 minutes. They needed every minute of it. And the budget was $30 million, probably a little bit more than the original. The summary on IMDb: an assassin tries to make amends in an effort to restore the sight of a beautiful young singer. So very similar, but oh, and then the tagline, a classic, reloaded.
You got to do the cocking sound, yeah.
Yeah.
But the biggest difference being the gender of the assassin in these films, which they gave us an old curveball. The
Well, and
assassin
I
is a
listen, I support that.
Mhm.
Tell test in there. I want that. But also one of the biggest differences is that one was set, the original set in Hong Kong, and this the remake set in Paris. And I'm almost positive that is because both of these films were inspired by the 1967 French film Le Samouraï, which is set in Paris and is about a contract killer. So he was really obsessed with that film. It's one of his top three favorite films of all time, and it inspired him to make the first one. And then it inspired him again to reimagine it for the second one all these years later.
Wow.
Well, I'd like to say I'm not necessarily opposed to changing the main character's gender or color or anything like that if it serves a purpose. I didn't feel like it served any purpose other than to just say, "Oh, it's a woman now," because in the original there was a love story that was. I mean, um, he started to develop feelings for this girl, and it affected his decisions. And in this movie, the newer version, that didn't play through. It was
Sure, it did.
It was
well,
more like a sense of duty to her, like a sense of honor, I guess, than like
She developed feelings because she associated that girl with her little sister who had died.
right.
So she got emotionally attached and invested for those reasons, a different kind of love. And then
Right.
there was also a love story between, it was actually really similar. There were two love stories in each Killers. There was very strong bromance story between
Mhm.
the cop and the killer in both, and then a very strong connection of obligation and wanting to right a wrong that they felt they had done with the singer in both.
Right, for sure. The bromance between in the original was quite fun. That was part of the charm of that movie, was the way that they developed that relationship. I'm just saying that if you're going to change the main character, like make it make sense to me. It didn't bother me. It just didn't. I just thought it was unnecessary. But I'm all for it. I mean, it just didn't seem
Doesn't
like it.
sound like you are.
Well,